Hi, everyone. It's a privilege, always a privilege to be on here, and certainly do appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk about different segments of the home inspection process. Obviously, I own Heritage Home Inspectors, been in business since 2018, and what we wanted to discuss today is roofs, which is many times, let me just share the screen if I can. Can everyone see that all right? And then I just need to,
Yes.
and slideshow. Okay. So I got the screen up, but we wanted to talk about roofs because it's a common question. People always want to know, how's the foundation? That's always the biggest concern. How's the foundation? And then secondly, they want to know, how's the roof? Because it's one of the areas that is not easily reviewed from the ground. And so what we want to do today is we want to kind of talk about why is roofs important? And even kind of discuss the anatomy of a roof. So as agents or as buyers or clients or whatever your position is, you might be able to take a look at the roof and get a gander or an understanding where it is basically. Then we're going to talk about what is involved in an inspection of a roof, and then how we identify the concerns, and then we'll finish up with the different types of roofs that we have. I always like conversation, so if you have a question, please feel free to interrupt. If you leave a message, I will try to make sure I connect to it. And we'll follow up on that message. So, biggest reasons for the importance of roofs is one, there are major costs for replacement. Just as I said the other day, I just did an apartment complex of 10 units, and the roof was shot, and it had a rubber membrane plus shingles, and it's probably going to be somewhere in the range of about $70,000 to replace it. So it's a big acquisition. Residential homes are not going to be that big, but if you get a 5,000 square foot home, it can be very easily $25,000 plus. And the roof plays a tremendous role because it protects the home from the elements, ice, wind, sun, outside elements, rain. Rain is the most important. And it diverts, even more importantly, it diverts the water away from the foundation. And so when I talk about a roof, I'm also talking about the gutters, the downspouts, and the perimeter drains that keep water away from essentially our most important structure in a home, that foundation. It also help us maintain our homes in a comfortable level. A lot of people anymore, they just set their nest or thermostat to a range of 68 to 72 degrees. Well, the roof plays a critical role in being able to maintain that even on a Florida sunny hot day. Okay. And then the last thing is it's aesthetically very appealing. It would look kind of odd to have a house without a roof. So here's the anatomy of a roof, and a lot of it you can't even really tell fully when you're looking at a roof without actually pulling up the shingles. It's got sheathing or decking, which is it can either be plywood, OSB. They do a lot of OSB anymore, and typically it's going to be either 3/8 or a half inch. Being the guy the size I am, I like it when it's a half inch because the 3/8 bends a little bit too much when I'm walking around on it. Then you're going to have a moisture barrier over it. In the old days, it used to be tar paper. Now it's actually a true moisture barrier, which is really nice. It gives you greater protection and it diverts any type of moisture. Because one of the things that shingles, a lot of people don't understand, shingles are actually just water shedders. They're not a true barrier. And we'll talk a little bit about that. And then you need to have ice guards around the edges where the soffits are, and then drip edges. Flashing plays a critical role around chimneys, plumbing vents, bathroom exhausts. It helps protect the house from water penetration and to divert the water away. And then we have eaves and soffits that allow ventilation to get into the attic, which plays a critical role, and also kind of diverts the water further away from the foundation. That's why you have that typical overhang of around 1 foot. And then you have a number of roofing materials that can go over top of this. You can have metal stamped roofs. You can have metal seamed roofs. You can have tile, slate, and shingles and rubber membranes. And rubber membranes are going to be a little bit different in their application. Oh, went too far. Sorry about that. So my preferred method, I have 3 preferred methods. One is to get on the roof itself. Always my primary choice. Certain roofing material will not allow me to get onto a roof, such as tile, slate, metal. You really should not be on them unless you have a real reason. Then the pitch can also inhibit me from getting onto it, because I'm certainly not going to have the proper tie-offs and things like that. But if I can't get onto the roof, then my second is the drone. And that's exactly what I was going to do this morning. As you can tell that I'm sitting in my truck. I was going to fly my drone over the roof. The pitch is too much for me to get onto, and it's about 40 feet. But the drone, I have the ability to get within 3 inches of the roof, so I can get very granular with it. I can identify the drip edges, and the one area that I can't identify is what is underneath the shingles, because I cannot pick up the shingles. And then the last and the least favorite is the ground observation. And this is typically when, like Lagoni Airport won't allow me to fly my drone. They'll keep on landing me, and I'll have to look at it from the ground. But those are the 3 primary methods of evaluating a roof. The condition of the shingles and roofing material. I'm looking at the body of the shingles, the granular material, the edges. If there's cracking, we'll talk a little bit about what we're looking for. But we're examining the actual condition of each shingle and how the condition of them are. Number of layers. A lot of people don't realize you can actually have 2 layers of shingles. So what some people will do, their shingles start to get to the point of being worn out. They cannot be in such a condition that the shingles don't have integrity anymore. But you can lay over shingles over top. The savings is that you're not disposing of those shingles. You're not ripping off the shingles. You're not replacing the underlayments, and you're just applying another layer of shingles over top. So it will benefit the house for a certain period of time. You're not going to get the same life. Like if you apply 35-year shingles, you're not going to get 35-year shingles. It's probably going to be somewhere around 25 years. Drip edges are very important. As I said, the flashing. Rubber boots, they are very important. The rubber boots actually are over top of the plumbing vents, and they seal to the plumbing vents, and they play a very important role not to allow any water penetration to get around the actual plumbing vent and go into the attic. And so they tend to dry rot and crack somewhere around 15 years, which is not the full duration of a roof. And so what happens is a lot of times people will repair them with sealant and kind of make it to the full life of the shingles. And then the ventilation. So ventilation primarily involves the attic. So the soffits are going to allow cool air to draft in, and I'd probably say the preferred ventilation of today's times is soffits with a ridge vent. And a ridge vent is going to run along almost the entire length of the ridge, and it's going to have approximately 3 to 4 inches of gap. And we know that cool air drafts in, and then hot air naturally rises. So by the soffits and the ridge vent, you get this constant circulation going on in the attic, which keeps the temperatures lower, thus keeps the temperature of the shingles lower. What happens many times on really, really hot days, it's asphalt, right? it'll get extremely soft. Then in the evening time, the shingles will cool, and they'll cool too rapidly, and they'll crack. And sometimes when I'm on roofs that don't have good ventilation in the attic, the shingles will literally be cracking and breaking underneath my shoes. So it's a strong indicator of lack of ventilation when you start seeing a lot of cracks on the shingles. So it plays a tremendous role for the longevity and the integrity of the actual shingle. Any questions? Okay.
I have one question, right? So like I used to put roofs on with my dad and my brother back in the 80s. And we put that tar paper down first. You said they're using something different nowadays?
Yeah, it's a true plastic barrier. And it overlaps like a tar paper did, always the upper section overlapping the lower section. So if there is any moisture that gets into it, it's going to shed it away. They come in rolls of 4 feet, and they literally just tack onto the decking like the tar paper did. Tar paper, though, you probably know, it would tear easy, and you get a tear, and then all of a sudden you got exposure to the wood. With the plastic rolls, much more durable and has greater longevity. So it actually gives you greater extended integrity for the shingles. It is pretty rare to replace a roof anymore that doesn't have at least a 35-year rating, which is a tremendous benefit, because in the older days, like in the 80s, when Jeff was about 30 years old in the 80s,
yeah.
I'm just teasing you, man. It was you were lucky to get 20 years out of your roof. So if you lived in your house for 60 years, you many times have to replace your roof 3 times, where anymore you could get away with just 1 time or maybe 2.
Wow.
Okay.
How do you feel about metal roofs?
Now well, hang on.
Yep.
Hang on. Let's get into that in just a second. So this photo is probably about as bad as a roof as you can get, and this is probably very extreme. You can see this missing shingles. It's got broken shingles, and you think, well, who in the world would ever let their roof get to this condition? It is not uncommon for me to get up on a roof and see this. People a lot of times will try to, well, one, they'll try to last until the roof literally leaks. And there's 2 mindsets on that. One is, I don't want to exchange my roof until it starts leaking. And at that point, I'll do that. The other mindset is, once the roof gets to a place where it's getting close to that point of leaking, I'm going to exchange it. I believe that that's a better method, because once you start having a roof leak, it's going to impact the insulation. It's going to impact the bedroom drywalls, and it could be leaking and you not even know it, because it could be coming down into the exterior walls and getting into the wood framing, which could cause wood erosion, deterioration, or rot, and you not even know it until it actually starts coming through the drywall. So I personally feel it's a much better thought process. And it appears that insurance companies are really cracking down on the condition of roofs. I have had more situations in the past 18 months where people are contacting me and said, my insurance company is telling me they're going to cancel my policy unless I replace my roof. And I don't think my shingles are at that point of replacement. Can you come and do an inspection? And what's happening is they're contracting, and I don't think that this is really good, but they're contracting roof contractors to come out and evaluate a roof. Seems logical, except for one concern. The roof contractor is heavily motivated to tell you that your roof needs to be replaced, and they're going to recommend that you get your shingles exchanged. And so I don't I've had probably, I'm just thinking here, I think 5 times now, and not a large number, but 5 times where I've gone out and I've gotten on the roof, taken a ton of photos and sent it to the insurance company with a conflicting assessment of the shingles in roof condition. One of which was not even half of its life. So, but insurance companies are not really wanting anybody to get to the point to where the roof looks like what we see in this photo here. And again, as what I'm looking at is I'm looking at the granular material, edge wear, cracks, overall condition, and how the shingles are applied. It's very important that you get the proper overlayment. If you've heard of Owens and Corning Surnell, it is a shingle that has adhesive on both the top and the bottom, and you're supposed to align the adhesive strip on top of each other and tack it along the adhesive strip. And so when we do have a hot day, that glue will actually get soft and will literally adhere to the other shingle, thus creating a true or closer to a true barrier than just a water shedder. So I've seen where the application of the shingles is not appropriate, they're not properly aligned, and thus you have a much greater potential of water getting underneath the shingles. So that's another determination of a roof condition. Had a situation about a year ago. The roof was only 1 month old. The seller was so excited to say, hey, the roof's brand new. You got a brand new roof. And I start pulling up the shingles. There's no ice guard. There's no drip edges. There's no barrier underneath the shingles. They just applied shingles right over the roofing sheathing, and they didn't even apply them in the proper manner. And I said the roof had to be completely replaced. And obviously the seller was extremely upset. And they got 3 roof contracting companies to come out and evaluate it, and they all said the same thing. So it's very important that not only the shingles are applied, but every part of the roof is actually installed.
Steve, real quick.
Any questions there? Yes.
I do, because so I have a friend of mine who's a handyman, and we know there's a lack of professionals in the trades right now, right? Like there's just not enough people to do the work. And one of my friends said somebody come and installed a shower and didn't put waterproof boarding up. They put drywall up, right? So
yeah.
I mean, that's how incompetent some of the workers are out there right now. And it's like, what happened? I melted. So like he had to go back out and fix, and people are spending good money for this stuff. And so I'm saying everybody on the call, if you need a professional, like you need a roofer, you need obviously a home inspector, Steve, but like if you need a plumber, if you need somebody, reach out. Like we know people that we can trust that show up, they're going to get the job done right, and we know they got a track history of doing a good job. The cheapest isn't definitely not always the best in that category.
No.
So just make sure that your customers are being taken care of. And then the other thing is, you used a couple words, Steve. I just want to make sure everyone on the call knows. So what's an ice guard and what's a drip edge?
So an ice guard is a layer that is on all the edges of a roof underneath the shingles, and it is about 18 inches long. And it protects from any ice forming underneath the shingles up against your sheathing. And a drip edge, it goes along in front of the gutters, and it goes along the edges of the end caps. And it just basically, water will actually trace a surface. It can even, like if you ever seen gutter heads is a solid material that goes over the gutters, and then it rolls, it has a front, like a curved nose that goes back into the gutter. And what will happen is the water will literally trace that gutter head, that solid material, and go back in and drop into the gutter. So water will trace a surface and it will track it. So a drip edge is an L shape, and it goes about 1 inch to 2 inches onto the sheathing of the roof, and then it has like a little kick out, and then it goes about 1.5 inches to 2 inches over the fascia board or the casing, and it just protects from water getting into any wood of along the edges of the roof. So those two surfaces are really, really important, and it's another reason why soffits are so important, because with proper ventilation, it helps protect against the ice buildup. Like, if you probably remember, you know, a lot of you all may not remember, but like my age, the big long icicles we used to get off of our gutters and used to get off of our roofs. You don't see the icicles anymore, and that is because of the ice guards and the drip edges are protecting against that. It's a very good sign when you have long and big icicles on your house that something's not quite right with your roof.
I love
Does that help explain that?
Yeah, I love that you shared that sign, right? Because even when there's snow on the roofs, and then you're driving, like you get a fresh snow, and you're driving down the road, and you see some roofs have snow, some roofs don't. What does that mean?
Right. Well, now that could be a number of reasons. It's the way the sun's hitting that roof or whatever. What you're always kind of looking for is the icicles and the ice buildup. If there's a lot of ice buildup on the edge of the roof, then there's a concern with the ventilation, and there's a concern with the ice guard and the drip edges, not protecting the roof against that. Yes.
I have a question. If you don't have ice guard on your roof, I got a new roof about 5 years ago from one of those, I call them storm chasers. They come around and say, your roof has hail marks and blah, blah, blah. My insurance company came out and approved it, which really surprised me, but they put a new roof on, and I think there's a problem. I have in my 2 rooms, I have where it looks like there's light in the paint. You can tell like water has seeped in. And
oh yeah,
I can't think of any other reason it would do that except that the ice backed up, and as it melted, it came in. So I probably don't have an ice guard on there. Is that a telltale sign?
It's very it is. If you're starting to get, like, if you're showing moisture levels, or like the staining in your drywall along on your exterior walls, that is an indicator that moisture is getting up into your attic, freezing, and then it's actually melting down and coming into your house.
Yeah, it's on the ceiling.
So what you probably want to do is get a roof contractor out there and take a look at it. They're going to try to pull up your shingles to the best of their ability. You try not to pull them too hard because you can break them. But if it's only 5 years old, they should still have a good bit of flexibility into them and be able to be moved. And they'll try to evaluate that and make sure you do have what you're supposed to have underneath your shingles.
Okay, thanks.
Well, it's part of the challenge that we have right now. To what Jeff was saying is a lot of people don't realize the state of Pennsylvania, there is no licensing process to be a general contractor. You literally can go pay a fee and then register your company with the Attorney General of the state of Pennsylvania, and you're a general contractor. There's no licensing. It's the same with home inspectors.
Wow.
Pennsylvania does not have a licensing process for home inspectors. You only have to be in good accreditation for one of the managing national companies, either ASHI or InterNACHI. And I chose, when I was doing my credentialing, to get my license. So I took the proctored exam, and I can go to about every state in the union and conduct inspections. But there is a ton of home inspectors who do not have that. And there's a ton of general contractors who have no background other than, hey, I can put a roof on type of mentality. And it's crazy. It's literally crazy what the state of Pennsylvania has. because it's one of the few states that doesn't have some type of licensing processors for general contracting.
That's awful.
So, well, it should always give people a buyer's beware. That's my thing is, if you're actually looking to getting any type of work done, like I have people contact me. Just yesterday, I had someone contact me for some recommendations, and I give them 3. I try to give them 3 or 4, and I say interview them, make sure they have the personality that you're willing to work with, get referrals, get some testimonies, and just do your due diligence. In this day and age, you can really do a lot of creeping on anybody, and that's not in a bad thing. It's just you can actually look at what they do, and if they don't have a lot of images, photos, projects that they completed that look really good and professional, then I'd probably be concerned. And I kind of joke with people, if you call them up and say they can, they say, oh, I can be out there tomorrow to put your roof on. that might be a red flag in itself if they're not busy at all. But, you got to always look at the circumstances on that. But yeah, you really need to do your due diligence. And in my example of the roof was put on a month prior and they were upset, they actually got some friends, because their friends told them they could give them a great deal on it. And they went with it, and they could not get back in touch with their friend. Their friends, they could not get back in touch with them. They ghosted them. And so the money that they had put out on that roof, they were going to wind up trying to sue them.
And Steve,
but I don't know where that went.
Steve, I want to accentuate what you're saying right now. Like the first home I owned, I was going to have a professional concrete company come out and pour this 100-foot driveway. And a kid that he calls me Uncle Jeff, right? So he's close to the family. He goes, Uncle Jeff, I'll do it. Like, I think the price was $15,000 with the company. It was $10,000 with him. He goes, Uncle Jeff, let me have the job. And I said, sure thing. Save me $5,000 and keep the money in the family. I needed like 15 pads poured. He poured 3, and I couldn't find them for a year. Right. And he took it, and then he calls me back after a year and goes, hey, can I get the second half of that money? And I'm like, yeah. I give him the second half of the money. He never pours the rest of the pads. Right. So it's like, I can't, as much as I want to help friends and family, I definitely want to keep the money local. Like, vet, when you got somebody doing work at your house, definitely vet who they are and make sure that they're going to get the job done before you take the lowest price. Especially with that kind of work. Like, the lowest price is definitely not the best. And again, if you guys need any help or you need any referrals, please reach out to me. If I don't know somebody, I'll reach out and get somebody for you.
Yeah,
I'd like to add something
it really
to that.
is. It's yes.
I just want to add something to that real quick from the insurance side of it too. Just a layer on top of everything that you guys are already saying, and that is for any kind of insurance purposes, they're most likely going to want to know that it's an actual certified contractor that has a license, not your buddy. You're going to need to have documentation, so you want to make sure you have documentation. And then on top of that, let's look at the fact of during the process, you're going to make sure that they have their own insurance on them, because your buddy comes to do work on your house and then they bust up your house, something falls through your roof or whatever, some major damage happens. Are they covered, or is that going to end up coming out of your pocket? So you're trying to save a few grand and then you end up paying a lot more because they didn't have insurance. So you want to make sure in that interview process that they are insured themselves.
And that's a really valid point, because even as a home inspector, we are required to carry $1 million of errors and omissions, and then $1 million of general liability for that very purpose. I actually had a guy I was training, and he was walking through the attic, and wouldn't you know it, he fell through the attic. So I wound up having to pay for, because he was under training and he was underneath my insurance, I ended up having to repair their ceiling. Yeah. Needless to say, he was not a hire.
Sharon, pitch him.
I
But
wanted
all right.
hey,
Hold on, what, Steve, Sharon wanted to say something here.
I just wanted
Hi,
to ask,
Sharon.
hey, I just wanted to ask you, so I wanted to clarify. So like a plumber has to be certified, a electrician has to be certified, a roofer does not have to be certified. So there's no difference between a roofing company and a, ABC renovations company to come out and look at
It's
the roof.
yeah. So you bring up a very valid point. So like the plumbing industry, they require licensing. Same with electricians. The trades are very heavily controlled by the trades. And I think even people even understand, like Allegheny County, if you're not licensed in Allegheny County, you can't do electrical work, you can't do plumbing, you can't, and so the trades I have a lot more confidence in. But even in that aspect, I still would rather have someone be literally a licensed and certified master plumber, master electrician, got their credentials. General contractors, which is going to fall into your roofing, your the actual building of the roof, a building of a home, they just have to have a permit. They don't have any training and background or courses or certifications that they go through for the state of Pennsylvania. So here's an example. Like in the home inspection, all you have to do is ASHI is a little bit stricter about this, and I appreciate that about them. They want you to take that proctored exam. Okay. InterNACHI, you can take the online course and pass that course, and you can be conducting inspections under InterNACHI's umbrella without taking the proctored exam. And the proctored exam is a 4-hour exam that requires you to answer all these questions without any, there's no phone, there's no anything that can assist you. And I think that's very important, because that's showing that you have a working knowledge of what you're looking at. Now, both organizations require you to have 100 inspections underneath a certified or a home inspector who's in good standings with one of the national organizations. The challenge on that is most home inspectors don't want you around to do that. So they'll do like maybe 10, 15, and then you're out on your own. And you're supposed to be like being overseeing the inspections. It's just a couple of things that Pennsylvania does for the general contractors and home inspectors that I totally disagree with. And that's why I think as buyers or consumers, you need to fully understand what their background is and how long they've been in the business, how much business have they done, and have some testimonies that you're willing to call people up and gain reference. A little bit of work up front will save you a lot of headaches on the backside, I believe.
The reason why I was asking is because you did an inspection, and I think you said, have a roofing company come out, whatever. So I put on there, have a roofing company inspect the roof and make any necessary repairs. Well, they had a, ABC company, renovation company, come out and sign off on the roof saying that there's nothing wrong with it. So, my buyer's like, that's not a roofing company. And before I,
Right.
call the agent and cause a ruckus, I was hoping that you were going to say that you had to have like certification. So, you know what I mean? Which you don't. So now,
Well,
do I even have
there's
a stand on?
Yeah, you do. You do, because you can say now we have two conflicting opinions, and we want a third one to kind of understand where our position is, and we would like to have buckos, big fish, a well-established roofing company, not ABC, general contracting. So because, the roof is a big area of controversy. No one ever wants to own up to it. It's even like the apartment complex that I just did. The seller's like, oh, the roof's in great condition. He's wrong. And I said, I can guarantee you can get 10 out of 10 roofing companies out here, commercial roofing companies out here, and they're going to tell you, no, it's not. And so, it's the roof it tends to be one of those gray areas because you're looking at the condition of the shingles, you're looking at the overall roof condition, and then you can probably get someone out there say, oh, you got 3 more years. But the thing is that in your position, I would fight for that because you're representing the buyers, and I can certainly look at the report and give you a little bit more insight, but I certainly would probably say, we got 2 conflicting opinions. I want to get a third one out there, and we want to pick out the company on this one.
Thank you.
Yeah. Asphalt shingles, the types of roofing material, they come in many different years. 3-tab is 20 to 25 years. Architectural design, which are made to shed the water more efficiently, are going to give you 30 to 35 years. They now have a heavier body shingle that actually will give you 50 years, which I will tell you, I don't think there's a reason why you would ever do any type of roof exchange without 35 years to 50-year shingles, because the 3-tab shingles are just cents less expensive than the architectural design. I'm not even sure why they still, manufacture the 3-tab, because it's basically the same expense as the architectural design shingles. Metal roofs, what you were getting back to, Jeff. Metal roof is actually considered a true water barrier, and there's a lot of benefits to it. Now, some people say, well, the old metal roofs used to leak. Yes, they did, because we used to use the fasteners without seals on them. If you actually look at the fasteners that come with metal roofs anymore, they actually all have the seals literally on the fastener, and they just zip them in. Now you actually have ridged roofs that actually all the connections are inside the ridge. So they're called seamless or seamed roof, and they are rated for 50 years minimum up to 100 years. And the potential of moisture penetration is very low. Clay tiles are rated for 100 years. And the only thing that really wears out on clay and slate is the actual hangers. They are very, very durable, dependable. The hangers will wear out, they'll rust, and then you'll see the tile slide out of place, the slate slide out of place. But clay, what's nice about clay is they're still being manufactured. A lot of climates that are very hot, like in Florida, you have a lot of clay tiles. It's much more durable, and they can handle the heat, and they have a beautiful aesthetics. It's just very heavy, and so you've got to have the right sheathing and the right trusses or rafters supporting all that weight, because it is a very heavy roof for both slate and clay. So, like, Pennsylvania, we have a ton of homes that are 100 years of age or more. And if you get into these attics, they literally have 2x8s as the roofing planks, because they got to support the slate and the tile that was used to use in the old days. One of the materials that is used a lot for commercial is rubber membranes. And the materials are improving all the time. We just did it. I'm on the board at Cornerstone Prep, which is a school in West Mifflin, and we put on a new roof about a year ago, and it cost us $90,000, but we'll never put another one on. And because it is a rubber membrane / spray foam combo, and it can be repaired, it can be patched, and it's extremely durable, and it's a lifetime application. So the the commercial roofs are really improving. And a lot of times people ask, when do I need to put on a rubber membrane? When do I need to put a metal roof on? It is when your pitch is less than 212. And that's basically you're getting to a flat roof. And the reason that's so important is what we said earlier is that shingles are water shedders and not a true barrier. So when you get down to basically a flat roof, you have much greater ability for the water to pool or to sit during heavy rains. And so you need to have a true barrier once you get to that type of gradient. Any questions there? Oh, there we go. So we're actually literally at the questions and answers. We've been asking some really, really good questions, and I think one of the greatest things we got out of today is that it is very important that we have our due diligence, especially when it comes to roofers. I don't try to categorize any industry. I don't want to do that. But in the roofing industry, you have a broad range of skill levels, and it costs so much, and a lot of people don't have the knowledge or the background or even the ability to be up on the roof to oversee what's going on. And so there's such a high potential of being taken advantage of. So it's one of the areas that, as Sharon was talking about, and Jeff, and both Jeffs, it really is one of these areas that you really need to take your time, get good referrals, talk to your friends, talk to neighbors, talk to home inspectors, mortgage lenders. Real estate agents tend to have a ton of contractors that they have developed relationships with, and that due diligence up front is going to save you a lot of headaches in the back end.
So good. Before I open this up to the real estate agents, any questions for Steve on roofs right now? So, Steve, thank you so much. And
yeah,
and I know
Good information.
it's amazing. And so we're going to continue. We got like one of the agents on this group, I'm going to say out loud because I don't know if she wants to say her name or not, but she gave us a whole list of stuff that she would love to see covered by Steve, like literally everything on a home. And we're going to continue to do that. But there's a hot topic right now with agents that's going on. And so we may bump Steve back a month or two because I want to cover a couple things. So next month, with this whole NAR settlement going on, would it be beneficial if I got somebody on here that helped agents develop their value added proposition, right? Would that be beneficial to you? Okay. Because I think that's imminent. Like that's something that needs to be done right now, because with this move, you're going to have to sit with your buyers and tell them why they need to be paying you what they pay you. Now, from my seat, I see it every day. Like I see the hundreds of things that you guys do. I see that you're available like nonstop as counselors, as real estate professionals, helping them navigate this market. But how do you get that down in a conversation to them up front on by the time they leave you to say, listen, I cannot buy a house without this person sitting in front of me. Like this is the person I need to be working with. And that's where we're at as loan officers. That happened in 2008. So I know when you send me a referral, I got about 15 to 20 minutes. Really, I got about 30 seconds to capture their attention. And then I got 15 to 20 minutes for them to hang that phone up and call you back and go, thank you so much for referring Jeff. I am not working with another lender, right? And I've been practicing that craft since 2008. So I have my value added proposition down. But this is where you guys are now, and I want to help you get there. And I wanted to bring in a professional that can help you create that value added proposition, and then we can tweak it. I can tweak it with you from there. Does that sound good? If I could get that person on next month? Okay. All right. I think that's appropriate and it's so timely. I have a call with him today at 5, so I'll see if I can get him on for next month for age. Good stuff. Any questions for me? Business picking up for everybody? Yes. Yes, it is. Well, let's go get it. thank you for joining. I know we went over. I appreciate it. I know it's a lot for you to be here for an hour, but if you need anything, we're here for you. And I hope you have a great day.